hiring for 2, go ahead and hire 6 to 8. Because 4
Yeah.
are going to show up and 1 or 2 may make it. And even
Wow.
when you hire them, just keep doing interviews and all that.
Greetings, well builders. Welcome to Get Diversified, your go-to podcast for all things real estate investments.
I'm Jacqueline.
Melvin Landry. We're thrilled to embark on this wealth building journey with you.
Imagine this. What if your investments not only secure your future, but also unlock a life of financial freedom? That's what we're diving into on this show. Apartment buildings, storage facilities, mobile home parks, the whole shebang.
But here's the kicker. It's not just about investing. It's about crafting a legacy, building memories with your loved ones, and seizing every moment. Time is the currency of life. And let's be real, none of us wants to waste.
We've got the insights, experience, and dash of excitement to spice up your investing game. Plus, we'll throw in some real-life stories that'll make you see the potential in every brick and mortar.
Subscribe, buckle up, and get ready to turn your investments into the ticket to financial freedom. Together, we're not just building wealth, we're building the community of savvy investors. Let's get diversified.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Get Diversified. I am your podcast host today, in case you don't know who I am. Jacqueline Landry here, and super excited to have you all here today and for all of you that are listening as well. So I have 2 special guests. Wait till you hear all about them. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's get right into this. So today on our podcast, we're joined by 2 experienced leaders in hospitality and commercial real estate. Rikesh Thunder Patel brings over 20 years experience in the hotel industry, working with brands like Wyndham Hotels and Resorts, Choice Hotels, IHG Hotels and Resorts, and G6 Hospitality. He's launching a fund in 2026 focused on helping retired owners transition out of operations while preserving cash flow and managing capital gains. He is also with Keller Williams Commercial and serves as an ambassador for Asian American Hotel Owners Association. Joining him as well on the screen is Kevin Kohler, an investor, fund manager, and broker with Keller Williams Commercial. He actively does his own deals, bringing strong underwriting expertise and real-world insights into what hotel owners need. He's based in Florida and operates nationwide with a focus on the Southeast. So, welcome, gentlemen, to the show.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
for having us.
So, Kevin, what did I miss in the introduction that the listeners and viewers missed?
Well, I mean, you didn't miss anything. I'd say to add on top of it is just that I through multiple career trajectories have ended up with a really diversified experience where even before real estate, I spent about a decade developing solar farms in the Southeast. So we went through from chasing incentives to design, engineering, permitting, entitling land, buying the land, developing the land, finding the investors, etc. And I only wish I knew more about syndication, fund structuring, and everything. At that point in time, I was just the guy in the contractor's company looking for a sales pipeline, and I created all this stuff and enriched other folks at that moment. But it was a great learning experience. And from there ended up into the real estate industry and then into the fund management and investing side of it as well.
Fantastic. If we only knew what we didn't know.
Yep.
Sums it up. So, Rikesh, what did we miss there, and how did you come up with the middle name Thunder?
So the name Thunder comes from my dad, I guess. We started calling him Thunder Chief. Got a Rottweiler, so I guess that's Thunder Jr. And
Okay.
then I took on the name also Thunder. I guess comes from like a booming voice. We just kind of get things done, and like a rolling thunder, you just kind of keep going on.
That's
In the
that's
hotel industry, about 15, 20 years. That was a primary asset class that me and my family knew when we moved over here to the U.S. We did it for about 15, 20 years. We sold off a portfolio of hotels in 2025. But along that way, we learned how to diversify and learn how to defer our taxes and get into other industries that still give us cash flow, but not the day-to-day headaches or operations of running a hotel. So that was pretty big. I think, Jackie, you and I were at Raise Fest. So I was able to learn a lot of things there, even from fund creation to syndications to all that. Because we would do one hotel at a time. If that one did very well, we went on to buy another asset and whatnot. So I would say the past 2, 3 years been doing a lot of learning on tax deferral and actually lived it myself, and learning how to diversify and put into other asset classes also. All meanwhile still being involved with real estate.
That's awesome. It's all about get diversified and being diversified. So let's go ahead and let's get into hotel ownership and operations. So the first part I want to focus on is foundation and credibility. So Rikesh, this goes to you. So you've owned and operated hotels. What does that experience give you that most investors don't have?
Well, I've lived it day to day, everything from like payroll to guest issues, brand inspections. Because when you have a branded property, you have to keep up the certain specifications of standards. Uh, Day to day P&Ls. You know, a lot of people analyze deals, but they've never operated one. That lets me find out what the spot risk is, upside very quickly, from ground up construction to like even buying existing properties. One thing with me, I do like existing revenue due to like getting the financing, not having to wait like 18 months for the hotel to be built, and then like another 2, 3 years in operations to hopefully cash flow. I kind of like to see the numbers prior to buying the business and seeing where the opportunities are there. That's where me and my family's been pretty good in the past. We've done some development too, but our main thing was taking over existing properties and seeing where the opportunities lied in that.
That's awesome. Just recently, I was watching another podcast, and they were talking. Some kid was really excited by buying his first multifamily, and they said, "How much are you cash flowing?" And he goes, "We won't be cash flowing for a year and a half." He goes, "Slash the deal. Get out of that deal. If it's not cash flowing when you buy it, get rid of it." So great point there, Rakesh. So thank you for that. So Kevin, what drew you into the hotel space specifically?
The hotel space specifically came from my kind of academic pursuits. So my degree is in sustainable tourism development,
Mm,
and I actually attended a hospitality school with the original intent of, maybe owning a restaurant one day, and then through classes learned a lot more about the F&B industry, and then into lodging, and then overall tourism, and being based in South Florida. Like, I'm down the Fort Lauderdale market, and down here, our hospitality schools did a lot to work on the Caribbean and understanding sustainable hotel and tourism policy procedure, how that affects small nation states and the islands and stuff. So that got really interested, or piqued an interest in me a lot. So kind of fed a lot of where I went, and actually it's how I ended up in solar, because I started dabbling more in the sustainability side of things, and then got picked up by a solar company while I was still in college.
fantastic. Fantastic. I love that. So let's talk about owning hotels, the reality versus the perception. So I'm going to throw this question out and you tell me who wants to answer it. But what's the biggest misconception? The biggest, I'm sure there's many, about owning a hotel.
Well, first, when people see a hotel, they see a big building. So they start calculating like a bunch of numbers or whatever. They said it's a big building, but there's a lot of costs associated with it. You know, it's a 24/7, 365 day of business that you're in.
Yeah,
The people
yeah,
sometimes may think it's passive real estate, but it's not. It's a business that's sitting on real estate. So if you're not like managing it daily, if your management teams are not in place, I mean, it can really catch up fast. I've had hotels in collegiate markets, for example, like in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where University of Alabama is. Yeah, the rates can be $600 plus 2 night minimums, 30-day cancellation policies. But that's only 6 to 7 day weekends out of the year. So, what are you going to do outside of that? So a lot of people will see the big hotels or whatever. Oh, wow, you're in this big university town or whatever. Football season may be awesome, but you got to find other things outside of those 6 to 7 weekends also. So I think the misconception can be going back to, yeah, they see a big, beautiful, sexy asset, but it comes with a lot of cost too, Um,
Sure.
Yeah.
so underwriting, I mean, knowing your NOIs and all of that's very important.
I think you said it right on the head. Is first, a lot of people when they're looking at a hotel, if they're new to it, they're looking at it as it's discussed as a separate asset class. But it's much more than just a different type of property because you're actually buying the business and really understanding the fact that you're buying a cash flowing business, just like ALF or some other subtypes in real estate. When people aren't thinking of it clearly, they may think of things a lot more simply as a tenant landlord type relationship, and you're operating, an entire staff, benefits packages, payrolls, the whole nine yards, beyond just like maybe a multifamily property with one manager, one maintenance guy, two or three, kind of maxed out. It's a different operation, and to understand that from day one allows you to understand your risk analysis, I think, a lot
Mm,
cleaner.
Yeah, it's more of a hands-on operation compared to multifamily for sure. Even
Yeah.
guest reviews and stuff. I mean, one negative guest review can cost you up to $10,000, and that's constantly going on every day. So, online reputation and all that, you just have to be really on it. I mean, yeah, you can have management companies and all this stuff in place, but you as an owner, you also need to be checking up on these things and going to visit your properties and all that because no one's going to care about your property as much as you do or you should. You own the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So you answered my other question. So is it more a real estate play or an operating business? So it's definitely what I'm hearing
Yeah,
is an operating business, right? That you need to understand everything from payroll to, to housekeeping to brand imaging, so on and so forth.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's something good. So let's get into the numbers in the underwriting. So what are the first three numbers you look at when evaluating a hotel? So before you answer that, I don't know much about hotels. So I always look at
Yeah.
occupancy, right? I look
Yeah.
at what is my cash flow and what is my net operating income. So how does that
Yeah.
differ
I'm gonna
in
teach you some terms here.
hotel?
So first look
So
at like revenue trends, what's happening with you have to look in the hotel business, you have to look a lot within your comp set, what your competition set is. Usually that's about 7 to 8 properties on a thing called star reporting. So if you're a branded property, you usually getting star reporting to see how your comp set is doing, the competition around you. Uh, ADR is one term, average daily rate. So in the multifamily world, you've got basically what are they paying monthly? This is a daily business, it's 24/7. Every day is a new day reset. So ADR is average daily rate. RevPAR is revenue per available room. So
Mm,
if you can't underwrite it, you shouldn't be buying it. That's one thing that I really say. There was back in the day, guys would buy hotels based off of a revenue multiplier. So let's say a hotel is doing $1 million in revenue, and that market dictated like a 4x multiple. So the guys would come in and buy it for 4 million. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense to buy for 4 million. Well, now you have to really take a look because you've got huge labor that's increased. You've got insurance that's increased like crazy. So the days of back of the napkin type of underwriting or less than that, those really have to go away. We have to look at a bunch of things and factor in the expenses. You know,
similarly to like how in because a lot of what I also am experienced with is on the multifamily side, and thinking of a revenue multiplier would be the same way of somebody saying, oh yeah, we can come in here and we can do a couple of things on a property, and because of that the cap rate's going to go up, and et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's just a very simple view,
mhm.
and when you really look under the hood at the operating expenses and and the efficiencies, that's where you find out the truth. So at the end of the day, yeah, the hospitality industry has its own jargon. There's extra layers of stuff because, again, it's a little bit of business brokerage sprinkled into real estate,
Mhm.
acquisitions. So
Yeah.
you have to really understand, you're looking at the financials of multiple years, the star reports, which is a huge metric factor for any franchised branded company. And continuing to go through all that, it's just really important to know these nuanced differences, because like for a franchise you have your term, your however many years you stay that franchise, then you have to renegotiate, and if you want to change early you pay penalties, and what are those royalties that have to get paid to the brand, because these are all fixed, expenses. You can't tell Marriott, you're going to get them next month. They're going to take it before you take care of yourself. So um
Like
yeah.
they say the averages are about 12 to 15%, but in reality, when you add it all up, it's probably realistically about 15 to like 22%. There are a lot of things that go into hotel versus multifamily, a lot more layers. Every 7 to maybe 10 years, we have to fully renovate our properties. So that's something that everyone needs to keep an account for too.
Yeah, so the value add, component on a hotel is even a different approach, because on a multifamily, you might want to get it at towards the end of that 7-year period where things are looking a little bit older, and you can choose how that value add occurs, right? Like you get to change those finishes. The difference with like owning say a Fairfield Inn, well, in 7 years, Marriott sends the team, they dictate what you're renovating, and you just pay the bill.
Whoa.
Right.
You
Oh,
don't have
oh,
any.
by the way, we changed our brand standard, and now lobbies have to have some new fancy thing. So guess what? You get to rebuild your lobby because our marketing department determined lobbies need to look different.
Yeah. Also, as your these type of properties, you also give hot breakfast and all that. It's a lot more that goes into it. You also got these other staff members coming in about 4 or 5 a.m. to set up the breakfast and all that. So breakfast cost and sourcing that stuff and whatnot. So it's pretty big expense. And we can't really always build that into the rate because there is a lot of competition. So it's not like, hey, well, we built it really into the rate. I mean, that is kind of a direct cost.
Mhm.
The other thing that I'll mention also is credit card fees.
Oh,
They
yeah.
they equal almost, if not more than like a general manager's salary at some
Yeah.
properties.
But
Yeah,
I don't want us just to say a whole bunch of negative things,
yeah.
right? Like, so
Now we're gonna get into the
there's
positives.
all these different underwriting aspects that we have to think about with hospitality properties, but because of that we're also looking for different returns, usually double digit cap rates, or return metrics that seem for certain asset classes to be much higher. It's because it's the whole risk tolerance ratio.
Sure.
So hospitality properties, people want to see 20s, maybe 30s percentile range returns to make it work, because in a year where it doesn't work, you're carrying the entire business.
And also,
Yes. Yeah.
Jackie, revenue management is huge in this industry. Hotel industry, it can change minute by minute, hour by hour, because it's all dependent on what the forecast is for the entire market, what's going on in the areas, how filled up people are getting. Now with the AI being in effect, it's helped a lot. With revenue management that is tracking all the online travel agency websites and whatnot. So revenue management is a huge thing. It's a plus side. Obviously, cutting unnecessary expenses, doing capital expenditures is not a bad thing. Okay. I know we kind of touched base on that earlier, like the brands and whatever, but they create consistency. And as long as you follow the models and stuff like that, you'll probably do pretty well. But putting capex in renovations, that's all good. Improving your online presence, like I said, each negative review is going to cost you at least 10,000 bucks that you're not going to see. But online presence is pretty huge too. So
Yeah.
there's definitely tons of positives. It's just looking at all those factors. I've
So,
taken over properties that were doing maybe 800,000, and then within the first year was able to increase it to like 1.2 just through revenue management and cut, and then further cutting unnecessary expenses too.
sure, sure. So talk to me a little bit about how AI is helping you with numbers and underwriting. Are you guys using a specific tool? Are you using multiple tools? And what's really move the needle for you guys when underwriting a deal with AI being in place now?
I use it, but I don't rely on it.
Okay.
Even within my network of people that have their own model set up and spreadsheets, I'll ask them, "Hey, man, do you mind if I like, borrow that or whatever, and kind of plug in our numbers, see what other line items I may be missing or whatnot, or just comparing other people's to it." I would do your own, then plug it into AI, and then do it like 5 to 10 times or even more after that, because
Okay.
AI can be really off, especially when you're underwriting like big deals. For example, student housing is primary because each bedroom is individually rented and leased out, right? Well, if you plug into this AI thing that, hey, can you find out how many units this is? And then you start doing all these calculations per bedroom and all that. But it's got the per bedroom count off to begin with. I don't rely on it uh, fully. I mean, it's nice to plug in and whatever, but I think there is a lot more things that could be improved, and maybe that's just a year or two from now. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
I don't think
Kevin's
it's I
pretty
don't think
pretty
it's
good
there
with
yet.
AI.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
think it's
I use it.
you definitely have to train it, right? And I think we're a few years away from that. I remember the first time I used it, I was all excited that I underwrote a deal at the red lights on the way home from my son's sports practice, and I got the right answer. But when I initially started talking into it, it was like, "Oh, this is a good deal," and I said, "What about this? What about this? What about this?" And then at the end,
Yeah,
I got, "No, this is not a good deal." So,
right,
so
right.
beware of using AI,
Keep
and
building it up.
make sure you build it up and put in there how you analyze deals, and then even after that, check, double check, and triple check. So, Kevin, you have anything else to add there?
Well, yeah, so I do use it quite extensively now. I feel like I'm a late bloomer to it. Like on my real estate team, I had an agent in a different state that was super. Every meeting they would talk about it, and I was very like, oh, I feel like the old guy. I don't want this newfangled technology. Like I just got comfortable with what I have. And and then in the last year, I started going deeper and deeper and deeper, and now I'm all the way in the deep end. I run a virtual server with AI agents. I am subscribed to probably every AI model there is. Uh, I use consistently Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT in a rotation based on what I need them for. Because I've learned that AI models are like personalities. Sometimes you want the more conversationalist like ChatGPT, or sometimes you want the nerd like Claude. So when it comes to underwriting, I do not like to give it over to the AI. I do have some custom GPTs I've gotten from family offices clubs and a couple other places that are very interesting when it comes to underwriting, to have like a conversation with, somebody else about it. But at the end of the day, it's still like you were saying, Jackie, there's things it misses, there's assumptions it makes without asking you for approval of those assumptions. And at the end of the day, what's the term they use? The AI still hallucinates. Like it still fills its own gaps. I'd rather be the one that fills the gaps. So I can use AI to do maybe a napkin underwrite, or if, like a first pass, but like anything to be taken seriously, like I better be spending a few evenings on it.
Yeah, yeah, makes
Mhm.
sense. Awesome. All right, so let's switch into the next topic a little bit here on operations and value creation. So we talked a little bit about this before. So where do you find the most upside after acquiring a hotel? So I know that you said the multiples usually a lot higher than in multifamily, but Kevin, can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
I would say, I mean, in terms of like where to go once you're acquiring, when somebody's going in to acquire a property, there's a couple of different things that they're going to be thinking about. They're either buying it where it's currently existing as is. They have seen efficiencies and inefficiencies in management and operation, similar to many other asset classes, where you think you can kind of skim things out and clear up some NOI in some areas. um, Others, a property that could be flagged, or have a franchise. Maybe the PIP, the property improvement plan, is coming due soon, and you know that you can get it completed at a more value engineered approach
Mm,
than maybe the seller. Like better contractors, better terms, better vendors. Where when the seller thought that it would cost 4 million to do, you could do it for 2.5, or
mhm.
stuff like that.
Okay.
um but you get limited in hospitality of some of the pathways, or taking an independent property, and could it actually fit in the confines of a certain franchise, and would that franchise, by partnering with them, actually bring you more reservations? I mean, Thunder, you got any more stuff? I know you got plenty you can add on that. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I mean, controlling expenses, your labor, it's really a 24/7 taking a look at everything, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
that must be difficult for people, you know,
yeah, also
because
on the
people are
management
getting
teams.
higher, right? No one wants to work and no one wants to
Yeah,
especially
yeah. I would tell
send
my
the
management
person.
teams, listen, even if you guys are hiring housekeepers, whatever it is, and I would say in the interviews and all that too, you know, I love all that. But I was like, hey, if we're hiring for two, go ahead and hire 6 to 8,
Yeah.
because four
Yeah.
are going to show up and one or two may make it, you know. And even
Wow.
when you hire them, just keep doing interviews and all that. After COVID, we've seen it, just going back to AI or technology or whatever. That's one thing that's lacking in the hotel industry, you know. It's like, who's going to clean these rooms? Who's going to do all the laundry? Who's going to be like at the front desk? How are you going to manage, like, especially like in the US, you know, who's going to manage this thing if some guest comes in and wants to destroy like the whole place or whatever? Um, there are other places like Japan and whatever that are incorporating these things, but there's one thing here is we're just not there in a certain amount of automation that we need. So it's still that old school type of thing where you still got someone that'll answer the phone at the hotel or whatever. Yeah, they may transfer you to reservations or whatnot, but it's still that people to people type of business of when the guest checks in. Do you want to talk to someone or feel like there is a human type of presence there versus like a short term rental, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
yeah, it
and
is a people driven for sure, 100%.
and I'm a Marriott girl, so I never check in before. I
Yeah,
hate to
yeah,
get a electronic key because then I can't have personal conversation with the person in front and remind them that I'm a platinum titanium
yeah,
member and have a conversation with them and see what they can give me and make me feel happy and nice and stuff like that. So I kinda hate that, and maybe it's my age showing again, like you
right.
mentioned, where I don't truly want to embrace some parts of AI. So my other question is, have you all looked into, or had a conversation on robots and robots cleaning rooms or robots doing laundry, um,
I've
in
seen
hotel.
some of the automated stuff, but it's not like 100%. And then the other thing is like if someone kicks the crap out of this thing or whatever, once the WWE tackle that thing, how's it gonna how's it gonna get replaced and all that? Because people will destroy stuff. I don't know if you remember that robot that they did a study. They sent it from one end of the from Canada to the other. It was perfectly fine. And then they put it in the U.S. I think it was in Pittsburgh or somewhere. It didn't even make it out of the city. Like it got destroyed before even
yeah,
leaving the city. Yeah,
I
Okay.
heard that article.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like specific use cases, I actually remember studying some of this stuff back, and that was a while ago. I don't want to date myself, but that was a while ago when I was even studying it in school, of robotic attendants and ways it can be used in hospitality. And at the end of the day, they found that there's some ways it can be utilized, like, you can have some type of a greeter in a lobby or a thing. But at the end of the day, the people, like, the one of the reasons why a guest attends a hotel is, as you were saying, it's the human connection and the experience. So there's only so much that can be eliminated without tarnishing the experience. And so many of the brands, like, even nowadays, people are starting, maybe if you're not in hospitality you don't notice it, but the amount of additional brand concepts that are starting to pour out into the industry from the same companies that own all of these other brands. And these franchise companies are just fishing for the guests, to identify more and more with a specific brand. And so the way they're doing that is, again, carving out a certain guest experience based on what we seek, what our motivations are. And in the post-COVID world, well, one thing we've definitely realized is that we crave the human to human connection. And the hotel industry since COVID has really tried to rebound from the Airbnb hit that they got, and trying to say, okay, if the things that the short-term rental industry started providing during COVID can be brought over into our industry, then all of a sudden it's back to, like, we're the best of both worlds because we're what guests liked before, and then we figured out how to evolve. And so that's a lot of what's been going on.
Yep. Yep. Awesome. All right. Next question. How important is brand versus independent? I'll be the first
Yeah,
to
right.
say I'm both. I'm a
Yeah,
Marriott girl, but on an occasion when there's a small boutique that offers an experience that I can't get at a Marriott, I'm jumping right over. So what's
yeah.
your take on that?
My thing is obviously the brands bring consistency, and like you touched on, like Bonvoy, for example. I mean, brings loyalty, right? Um, IHG, Hilton, Marriott, I think they do a really great job with that stuff, especially when it comes back to consistency. At least when you go from one property to the next, you pretty much know what that model is going to be. Uh, they have QA inspections, the brands do. There's obviously renovation requirements. Either there's breakfast or no breakfast. Going back to consistency, for example, like IHG, if I go from Florida to, let's say, Texas, I know they're probably going to have like biscuits and gravy, you know. Not having a brand can also probably save you upwards of like 15 to 22%, like I was saying earlier. But those loyalty programs are pretty crucial to build. People like to build points, stay at places that they know.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything to add to that, Kevin?
I think you hit it all pretty much on the head. What I would say is 95% of the independent hotels out there, though, are not really boutique, right? Like, they're more of just the motel that never grew up. So there's a lot of assets right now in hospitality that are currently independent. And sometimes, when somebody's looking to buy something, they might find it and think, hey, this could be some type of opportunity. But in reality, there's no franchise that would accept it. One of the things that's a clear red flag is the way that the corridors are built. So you could either have an interior corridor or an exterior corridor
Hmm.
hotel. The exterior, the insurances are just too much. It just looks like a dated product. You can never get an exterior hotel and convince Marriott to put their backing behind it. Um, so there's limitations that get created as product is aging, and that's where I think we start to see more of these hotel to multifamily conversion opportunities or other repurposing things because the hotel owners don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, there are things like soft brands, Jackie. So you may not fully know that it's whatever under this brand affiliation, but if you go on their website, whatever, they're going to have, okay, whatever by this brand. We're seeing a lot of soft brands come out too that kind of have that boutique-esque type of feeling, but there's the brand requirements and standards in place. I'm not saying independent is bad at all. Definitely not. I mean, that's where we came from. A little statistic for you too: 60 to 70+% of all hotel motels in the U.S. are Indian owned. A lot
Mm,
of us started off in the motel systems, and that's where we lived, and that's where we did laundry, and we cleaned all the rooms and did front desk and whatever it took. Like the family did it. That's where we were able to save and go on to do other properties and whatnot. From that exact model there. Um, but I think
yeah.
when it comes to scaling, when it comes to these other things like even capital raising, creating an own fund or doing syndications and having investors come on board with that type of scenario, I think brand definitely makes sense in that. Unless like you're in a super high traffic area, New York City or whatever, it's like, hey, does it make sense for us to pay all these fees? We're right here or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, there's pluses and minuses to everything, but there have been plenty of people that's been very, very successful from independent properties and did very well for their families.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So, Kevin, what's the craziest thing that you've dealt with as an owner?
Oh, wow. As an owner,
Craziest. Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
yeah.
I can.
Well, I'd say actually the craziest thing, it'll end up not being a hospitality asset. It'll be a multifamily asset. One of our multifamily properties, we had acquired it, and then within 6 months, our property management company started basically fudging their reports to us, and then they fired us. They gave us 30 days notice and then quit on us, and like divested from the whole region they were in, and left us kind of holding the bag because we had our insurance policies through them, we had the management contract, and they were fudging the reports, so we didn't know that our occupancy dropped by half in about 120 days. So they really left us holding the bag. So that was a really difficult one, and luckily, through grit and determination of our GP team, we selected a new company, and within 6 months, that company refilled all occupancy and caught up all work orders and like everything within 6 months. So
Wow.
that
That
was a white knuckle turnaround.
most GP teams can't do that. So kudos to you. Hats off for sure. So, RP, give us a real story, something that went wrong and
You
what you
said it,
learned
yeah,
from
keep
it.
it clean. So I'll just do a slight overview. We'll need another pod for that one. But yeah, hotels, I mean, they expose you to everything, from gas, different emergencies, staffing issues, people trying to come in and do whatever. It teaches you a lot pretty quickly. I mean, like I was saying, it's a 24/7 business. We've gone through the 9/11 years, the 2008, the recent COVID and all that. So it's a resilient industry. Like I said, full guns on people before. Uh, yeah, anything to protect my team and property. I mean, hey, RP Thunder will go down on a brawl for his team and property. Yeah, the teams always do that. They're like, man, we can call this guy up and he's pretty much going to have our back. I mean, you go through everything in the hotel business. But then, hey, if you're on private property, so it just takes what it takes. I mean, even a huge thing in our industry is human trafficking. I'll touch base on that. I
Yeah.
mean, you've got prostitutes, PIMs, or whatever coming along. I do advise like hotel owners to go ahead and get certified, make sure the staff are fully trained in that stuff. The brands are doing a really good job. I've seen in the past like 5 to 8 years, making it a requirement to do all the trainings and every staff member having a certification. So yeah, as being a hotel owner, like I said, you can have all these teams and whatever in place, but also you got to have a eye out for your guests, for your property.
Wow.
Um, so
Wow.
yeah, I mean, human trafficking is a pretty serious thing, and it doesn't matter what, either it's class A or class C or whatever. Uh, we're seeing now, like they're going into the better properties, the bigger properties, the ones that people are actually not keeping an eye out for because they've kind of rebounded that, hey, these smaller to mid scale properties are keeping an eye out for us. Let's just go to the biggest one in town. And yeah, I mean, the John's going to probably pay more. So they're making more at those type of places.
Mm,
So yeah, I mean, we've battled things like that. Luckily, we never had any issues because, we get rid of it pretty quickly and always have a good relationship with law enforcement in your local areas and go to chamber of commerce meetings, to city meetings, know your mayor, like know your local officials. That's one thing where me and my community sometimes lack. It's like, yeah, okay, we have things that we go to like AHOA, DC legislative trips and whatnot, but if everyone takes leadership in those things, well, the towns and the cities will understand that, oh, okay, like these Indian people own like 60 to 70% of the hotels in our area or more than that.
yeah. Yeah.
So I think,
Wow.
people just being able to be involved is a pretty big thing.
That's awesome. All right. Final question. How are you structuring deals today for investors? So you guys have a hotel. Pitch me as to invest with you all and how you would actually structure that deal to both benefit you all and to benefit a potential investor like myself.
Sure. Ideally, going in on hotel acquisition, it would be structured as a general waterfall split between the operations team and the investment group. Would I probably be looking at properties that, as Thunder talked about earlier, would be flagged. That way the brand awareness can help provide some comfort and understanding to the investors, and then also going in to find, to me, like knowing when people know like how when I'm looking at subject properties, we're always looking at it kind of like the legs of a table, right? Like we need to have more legs standing to keep it stable. So I look at that in terms of even market segments. So whether that's a multifamily, whether it's a business, whether it's a hotel. For a hotel, the guest types matter, right? Like whether it's a business traveler, a family traveler, tourist traveler, highway traveler, transient. So we're going to want to look for properties that are going to be able to attract multiple guest types. Just as RP had said, we don't want to just base it on the college sports guys coming for the football season, because then what do we do the rest of the time? So if there's things that maybe like I like buying near military bases, because it works for hotels because of the amount of TDY traveling business trips between active duty military or families looking to move to that base or whatever. There's always extra reasons for the hotel to be used. And then also like the tourism aspect. So one of my fond areas is the Florida Panhandle, because it's a very dense area for military installations, and it's also a high tourism area. So there's multiple sites, whether it's Panama City, Destin, Pensacola, that are attracted to us. Tampa Bay. I can go on and on, and that's just in the Florida market, let alone as we start going around the Gulf or other areas. So that's how we start to look, but wanting to find ways to again structure safety and security to the investor, being able to show a pathway to the higher double digit returns, where we can still show that if the economy were to dip during a hold, or revenue were to be affected, that we're not ever going in the red, that there's never any needs for capital calls, that there's multiple layers of insulation from those types of things occurring. And then the tax advantages for hotels are much, in our opinion, better than the run-of-the-mill investment, because again, as you're buying a business, the FF&E, the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, they get depreciated on the quicker parts of a cost seg are greater. So you end up taking a larger cost seg when you're doing a hotel versus a multifamily.
Yeah, especially one that you're taking over and needs a renovation and all that stuff. It can work in your benefit for sure. But like Kevin was saying, I mean, having the waterfall structure offering a certain a tax deferral situation and cash flow, but having a lot of upside to it is a big thing. And conservatively underwriting, not fabricating stuff and whatnot. I mean, my saying is you throw 1,000 rocks, you're probably going to hit one of something. And that's the same thing with these deals. I mean, if you've looked at 100 deals and you're like, oh, I can't find a deal and all this other stuff. Well, yeah, it's because you have to look at like 1,000 things to see even if that makes sense. Is it in your neighborhood? Can you have good management on it? All these other things. There's so many more deals that we've let go or not entertained because, I mean, it's just out of our scope or the numbers are not there and the upside is not there either, or we don't vision that,
Yeah.
So never be afraid to even walk away from a deal. It's great to capital raise and be like, blah, 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 we're doing this 100-room hotel and all this stuff. But if it ain't going to really cash flow, it's going to be a headache for the investors. And one big thing to touch base on with Kevin is a lot of people won't invest if they're going to be having these capital calls and all that stuff. I mean, I hear about these stories all the time, and it's pretty pathetic. People have worked
Yeah.
so hard for what they did great in their hotel motel business, sold things off, and then invested with others, and now they're having capital calls when they had their own properties, they never had any capital calls on themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so going back to that, like big, beautiful, sexy assets and all that other stuff. Yeah, it can look great or whatever, but is it cash flow? Was it underwritten correctly and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Final words, Kevin?
Uh, I mean, I'd say when it comes down to just focusing on hospitality assets here, like hotels are fun. They're great investments. They really are. You have to look at them differently. But find a good operator. Find somebody where in the team there's that layer of experience of somebody that comes from the industry, not just an academically trained, right? But it is a very, very good asset class to have in a diversified portfolio.
Sick. And RP, what about you? Final words.
Andrew's got 5 things to say on about the hotel business. Hotels aren't just real estate; they're operating businesses. That's number one. Number two, we don't just sell deals; we understand them. Number three, cash flow solves most people's problems in this business. Number four, if you can't underwrite it, you shouldn't be buying it. Number five, we bring buyers, sellers, and capital to the table. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Thunder Patel right here.
Wow, thank you so much. And hey, how can people find you all? They want to talk more about hotels or deals that you have, or just the industry in general.
Yeah, give me a call anytime. 566682841. Your VA can put it up there too.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
then
Yeah,
and for
the
me,
blackboard. Thought you
you can
guys
probably
made
see it behind me,
goes
but
up the
you can
bathroom.
reach out to me on my cell at 954-702-6710, and either Kevin at empirebuildercapital.com or Kohler at kwcommercial.com. Happy to talk anytime.
That's fantastic. Well, thank
Excellent.
you all. It's been
Thank you.
absolutely amazing, and we'll be chatting soon.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Awesome. Bye bye.
All right.
Jacqueline and Melvin, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to listen to this episode of Get Diversified. Please make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes. Finally, stop by our website and follow us on social media. Ciao for now. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. And remember, get diversified.